So, how do you stop a ruthless, unstoppable army with just words?
It sounds impossible, right?
Well, we're about to dive into this incredible story of an ancient siege where a forgotten hero did exactly that. And in the process, she revealed a timeless strategy for resolving conflict that we can still use today. Okay, so let's jump right in with a cry that just ripped a kingdom in half. This comes right after one brutal civil war, and these words, from a rebel named Sheba, they're the spark that ignites a whole new one. So the big question is, how on earth did things get this bad this fast?
All right, to really get what's happening here, we need to rewind just a little bit. We're in the immediate aftermath of King David putting down a massive rebellion, one led by his own son Absalom. You can just imagine, the kingdom is scarred, it's exhausted, and the peace, it's hanging on by a thread.
You know, we often picture King David's reign as this glorious golden age, right? But the reality was way more chaotic. It was just this constant battle against threats from within. Rebellions were always flaring up, and the craziest part, they were often started by his own family. So the second the fighting stops, what happens? All these old rivalries just explode to the surface. The northern tribes of Israel are looking at David's own tribe, Judah, and they're basically saying, hey, you guys are trying to steal the king. They felt completely sidelined, totally disrespected, and their argument was pretty straightforward. They're like, look, we're 10 tribes, you're one. We have a much bigger stake in this kingdom. So why are you acting like the king only belongs to you? I mean, you can just feel the tension. It was a total powder keg of resentment, just waiting for someone to light the fuse. And right on cue, a guy named Sheba steps onto the scene. He sees this anger, this division, and he knows this is his moment. He blows a trumpet, which back then was the signal for let's go to war, and just like that, he turns a political fight into a full-blown rebellion. The Second Civil War was on.
So, how does David respond?
Well, his next move is going to set two of his top generals on a fatal collision course. Okay, get this. David makes a move that is just a massive political gamble. He completely sidelines his loyal, but let's be honest, very problematic general, Joab. And who does he give command to? Amasa. The same Amasa who literally just led the rebel army against him. And he tells him, you've got 3 days to get an army together. Wow. And this right here, this is the pivot point of the whole story. It stops being just about a rebellion and starts being about something else entirely. Timing. We're about to watch 3 different people face this crisis and how they use, misuse, or totally master their moment in time. Well, that's going to change everything. So here are our first 2 approaches. You've got Amasa, the hesitator. He gets this incredible opportunity, this huge promotion, but he misses that critical 3-day deadline. Then you have Joab, the aggressor. He's been benched, he's furious, and he isn't about to wait for anyone's permission. He sees the delay and decides to force the issue himself. Joab doesn't write a strongly worded letter. He doesn't appeal to the king. Nope. He finds his rival, Amasa, greets him like an old friend, pulls him in for a hug, and murders him. Right there, on the spot. And just like that, with one ruthless move, Joab is back in charge of the army, no questions asked. Okay, so Amasa is dead. Joab is back in command, and he is on a mission. He relentlessly pursues the rebel, Sheba, chasing him all the way to the northern edge of the kingdom, to a city called Abel. Now, just think about what's happening. Sheba, the rebel, is holed up inside this walled city, and Joab, being Joab, is about to do what he does best, use overwhelming force. He's literally ready to tear down the entire city, destroying everyone inside, just to get his hands on this one guy.
You can picture it. The army is building siege ramps. They're wheeling out the battering rams. The city's destruction feels absolutely inevitable. But then, at the last possible second, a hero emerges from the most unlikely place.
It's an unnamed woman, and she calls out to Joab from the top of the city wall. Now, she doesn't beg for mercy, which is what you'd expect. Instead, she does something brilliant. She reminds this bloodthirsty general of an old saying, that her city, Abel, is famous across the land as a place where people go to get wise counsel and find peaceful solutions. I mean, the logic is just perfect, isn't it? She's basically saying, Joab, you're about to flatten the one place in Israel known for solving problems without violence. Did it ever occur to you to, ask for our advice first? She's not challenging his army. She's challenging his entire approach, appealing to a higher value they both share, wisdom. And the crazy thing is, it works. This rampaging general actually stops and listens. He tells her, look, I don't want to destroy your city. I just want the traitor, Sheba. So the woman makes a deal. She says, give us a minute. She goes back inside, talks to the people of the city, and they come up with a very direct solution. A few moments later, Sheba's head comes flying over the wall. Joab sees it, sounds the retreat, and the army just melts away. The siege is over, the city is saved, all because of one person's perfectly timed wisdom. So this is way more than just an old story about swords and city walls, right? It's actually a timeless guide for how to handle a crisis. And it gives us 3 very different approaches that are just as real for us today as they were back then. So when we're facing a crisis, we basically have these 3 options. We can be like Amasa, we hesitate, we miss our window, and things fall apart. Or we can be like Joab. We use brute force, we attack the problem, and often end up causing even more chaos. Or we can be like the wise woman. We wait, we watch, we find the absolute perfect moment to step in, not with aggression, but with real wisdom. Her genius was that she understood the problem wasn't the city. The problem was the one guy hiding inside it. She found the real source of the conflict, the head of Sheba, and removed it with surgical precision. And that's the big lesson for us, isn't it? So many of our own crises are fueled by a head of Sheba. Maybe it's our own pride or an old grudge or just plain stubbornness, and we let that one thing threaten to bring everything else crashing down around us. So that really leaves us with a pretty powerful question to ask ourselves. When you look at the big conflicts in your life right now, at work, in your family, maybe even just inside your own head, what's the head of Sheba? What's the real root cause that you need to deal with? What's the one thing you have to surrender to stop the siege and finally bring some peace?